Good afternoon. This is Dr. Karen Rainford, and I would like to talk to you about the Process Redesign Memo. This is a companion video to go along with the written document called Process Redesign Memo. Our agenda today is exactly to cover each one of the sections from the document. First, let's talk about objectives. We'd like you to find a process that you can redesign, and as a result, the process will be more effective. We'd also like you to get some practice giving and receiving feedback to your peers on your process redesign project. We put this on a discussion board so that you can see what everyone else is selecting for their processes, and so that you can learn from those. And the instructor will be providing general feedback on the discussion board, so I would suggest that you read all of the discussion posts. And also for this assignment, it's to write an effective memo. There are several resources available. The first one is the overview of the Process Redesign project itself, which is a PDF document. Markle chapters 1, 2, and 9 talk about some of the elements that you should be considering. There are two videos, this video, which is the second one, and the first one, which does a quick overview of the deliverables from the Process Redesign overview document. Finally, there are some example portfolios in the PRM resource area, which is located directly below or under week 8. And there is a style sheet template that is also in that resource section. You don't need to worry about format this week, but if you'd like to start using that style sheet, go ahead and pull it out of the resource section. This assignment will help you develop better critical thinking skills. It will work on your writing description and definition. It's talking about how do we analyze a problem and how do we go about starting the process of problem solving. It's also persuasive writing in that when you bring up a problem in an organization, it's important not to alienate people, not to be the one with all of the answers. So you kind of weave your way into it, and this is that first step. So the deliverable for this week is really just a memo that you are going to write on your particular scenario. It's a short one-page document. I'm not worried about the format for it at this point. It should start out with to, from, date, and a topic. It should describe the process that you are going to be working with. Explain a little bit about problems or opportunities for improving that process, and it should also ask for a meeting to discuss the issues. All of the memos should be posted by Wednesday. All responses to your peers are due by Sunday. So a couple specifications for this. First, select a good audience. The instructor is not your audience. Your audience is the process owners, people who have control over this process and who can actually help you do something to change it. Also, if you have a real organization, use a pseudonym. Don't tell us it's the Mayo Clinic, tell us it's the Mustard Clinic. And definitely avoid disclosing your solution. Let's not alienate your audience right off the bat. So what is a process? How do you select one? A process is something that takes place in a sequence in a certain time frame. Like a project, it has definite start and stop points, but it's not a project. It also, like a project, has specific purpose and expected outcomes, but it is not a project. So, for example, applying to be accepted at St. Mary's University was a process. It started when you decided to go through the process, and it ended when you were accepted at the university. Booking a trip on an airline starts when you start to book the trip and ends when you actually have successfully booked it. It doesn't end when you've completed flying to your destination and come home and been on vacation. It's just the process of booking the trip. For example, the process of getting through airport security is a process. You can be sure this was not a passenger who actually set up this process flow. It was probably a process owner, someone who cares what the process looks like for clients, for the passengers, and who wanted to make changes to it. As you choose a process for this particular semester-long project, process redesign project, make sure that you are talking, that your audience are the process owners. Choose a process you're familiar with and make sure that it's a process that has some problems. And almost every process has problems because over time, they just get out of sync with their environment. You don't need to understand exactly how to fix it, but it might be inefficient. It might be costing more than it needs to cost. It may be detrimental to customer satisfaction. It may be inconsistent depending on who's using it. As you go through and describe the process, this is not a how-to account. This is not how to become a student at St. Mary's. It's what does the process look like for someone who's becoming a student. So it really talks about the steps, the rationale for each step, and the desired outcomes. Eventually, that is not required for the memo. It's always written in the third person. You don't use the you form, and you certainly don't say you need to do this in a command or imperative form. So those things are typical of instructions, but a process description is more about standing back and looking at the process in an objective manner. There are many, many things that could be wrong with the process. You may be looking to eliminate redundancy or duplication or bureaucracy. You may just want to simplify it so that it isn't so confusing. You might want to clarify instructions. It may be that the error rate that results from your process is too high. You may simply be looking to standardize it because every department in the organization does this differently, and they should have some commonality. It may be that you're upgrading something because new software is available or new tools are available that weren't before. And it may be hardware or software upgrading. At this point, you are not concerned with how it has to be improved, but just that there will be opportunities for improvement. Once you post your process redesign memo on the discussion board, by Wednesday, you will start giving feedback to your peers as soon as possible. You're really going to be looking at the description that they gave of a process and saying, is it understandable? Can you tell what it is that they're talking about? Does it have clear boundaries? Do you really understand where this starts and where it stops? Is it big enough to be important, enough to be worth documenting and putting the effort into changing? And is it small enough so that you can focus in on the writing on this assignment rather than being focused on what we call boiling the ocean, which is really trying to improve a very vast variety of things. So when you look at feedback to your peers, you're not really looking to say, great job. That's nice. I'm happy when you do that, but that's not the point here. The point here is, what can you do to help your peer improve? And in every time that you respond to a peer, at least 1 or 2 suggestions are really important. You have no idea how much people appreciate you taking the time to come up with 1 or 2 ways to make their work better. If you have questions, use the Ask the Instructor board, or better yet, just post your questions about this assignment or about this overall project that we're doing directly in the week 1 discussion board for the Process Redesign Memo, and we'll deal with them all together. Good luck. I'm looking forward to reading your memos.